Welcome everybody to my review of Backlash. 35 days since the last main roster pay-per-view, be Money in the Bank, and 7 days after NXT TakeOver in your house. So how does Backlash stand up to that? First thing I want to say is I did not watch the kickoff, which was Andrade versus Apollo Crews. Apollo won, so I will not be rating or reviewing that match by what's the correct way of saying it. Since I did not watch it and I did not even bother to go back and watch it, to be honest, I didn't even care for it, to be honest. So I'm just gonna review the main pay-per-view. All right, let's get started with my review of WWE Backlash. The very first match of the night, not counting the kickoff, was a triple threat for the women's tag team titles, which was Bayley, Sasha versus the Iconics versus Nikki and Alexa. Sorry, forgot her name for a second there. And it was a decent match. Decent match to start the pay per view. It was nothing incredible by any means, but a decent match with a good couple of good moves. To be honest, there was quite a few tag team double moves, which I normally like to see a lot. I mean, if you're watching a tag team division, right, and you're watching tag teams go at it, you expect to see tag team moves, and you'd be surprised how little you see of that nowadays. Double moves. And yeah, there was quite a few here. I was happy to see that. And Bayley and Sasha retained, which was honestly the good move. I was surprised when they were giving the women's titles to begin with because we're all expecting Bayley and Sasha to feud at any given point. But the fact that they're women's tag team champion, you can keep building onto that slowly. So I enjoyed the fact that they retain here thanks to Sasha rolling up Alexa Bliss. A little sloppy at times. It normally happens when there's so many people in the ring at the same time. You got three in and three outside. At times, all six competitors were just duking it out all at the same time. So you can't, really blame them. It happens all the time. It happens to the best of them at times. The match is gonna get an up. Like I said, a little sloppy at times, but overall a decent startup match. If you didn't watch the kickoff like me, nothing ooh wow, but not a bad thing to watch. But again, if you're one of those people that like to watch just one match in a pay per view, then this wouldn't be that match. Overall, it gets an up because it was a decent startup. It was a decent match. A lot of double teams. And trust me, this is the best way the tag teams were represented in this night. We'll get to that later. Second match was Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus. This rivalry has been very interesting for a few reasons. I mean, the whole storyline, I don't know, some people are criticizing, oh, they're bringing up Jeff's real life drinking. Listen, if he's okay with it, why should it bother us, And, they had a previous match in SmackDown where Jeff beat Sheamus. That match wasn't that great, but this match here, while lengthy, because it was a lot longer than I thought it would, was actually a really well fought hard match between the two of them. At times, it was back and forth, but Sheamus dominated a big part of this match. In fact, at one point, Sheamus kicked out of both of Jeff Hardy's finishers. He hit him back to back, twist of fate, then the Swanton bomb, and Sheamus kicked out. That's when I was like, oh shit, is Sheamus going to win this? And yes, he did. Sheamus did win this match, which was the right call. Like I said, Jeff had already won a match. And now you have Sheamus win a match with a possible tiebreaker at Extreme Rules with some stipulation in there. It will benefit that match too. This was a really good match. It is 50-50 booking, but it was a really good, solid match. A lot better than the first match if I'm to compare it. At one point, Jeff Hardy got on top of the little thing with the barricade. There we go. And he got on it, ran around. When he jumped, he got hit with a brogue kick. The match is gonna get an up. After that brogue kick, it was another brogue kick in the ring, and that would end the match at 1, 2, 3. It's gonna get an up. It was a really, really good match that lasted longer than I thought it would, but that was okay. It didn't also overdo it either. But a hard, well fought match by Sheamus and Jeff Hardy. They should be happy. It was a match that was better than their SmackDown one. So hopefully, if they have one more, it'll be even better than this. Next up was Asuka versus Nia Jax, and oh god, how many times have we seen these two women wrestle? How many times have we seen Asuka beat Nia Jax? Just over and over again. And WWE always seems to portray Nia like she's this monster, and then they portrayed her like she could really beat Asuka, but she never has. So even that was questionable, the story which they chose to get here. Like, I don't think Nia has ever beaten Asuka, and then she's bragging about being bigger and stronger. Has that mattered before? And then the match that we got here, played like every other match they've had. There was nothing special. The match is just more of the same. I wasn't expecting much, and I didn't get much. And then the match ended with a double countout. So is this gonna continue? Are they gonna wrestle again at Extreme Rules? Are we gonna add Charlotte later on? I don't know, but I really don't want to see it. I don't want to see Charlotte either in it, but and then just the double countout finish was just a big what the fuck. Like seriously, guys. And then you should have seen Asuka's face. You should have seen her face, which you're seeing in this image. It's almost like she got hit with a big cock. Yeah, just look at her. Scary, the poor girl. The match itself, it's just gonna get it down. It did nothing special. It played out like every other match they've ever had. And then the double countout didn't even help because that makes me worried that we're gonna see these two wrestle again. Which again, it's just Asuka is one of the greatest women's wrestlers there is, and Nia is not the right opponent for her right now. And neither is Charlotte, by the way, unless she's gonna beat Charlotte. But if Charlotte's gonna end up winning, what are we doing? The match is getting a big thumbs down for me. Next up was Braun Strowman defending the Universal Championship versus The Miz and Morrison. And let's be honest, I think everybody expected Braun to win. Like, they weren't really going to have him lose like this, were they? Yet again, they have booked Braun to lose in similar shit already in the past. So it really wouldn't be that surprising now, would it? And honestly, it was well. First of all, before the match even started, The Miz and John Morrison put this amazing, just hilarious, funny video of "Hey Hey Ho Ho," like a new version of it, and it was just funny. It was great. I couldn't help but laugh and smile throughout the whole thing. These two guys are just great together. They're a great tag team. So to see them not really do much anymore since losing the tag titles is kind of crazy. And they lost the match. But early on in the match, they were using smart and heel tactics to try to get the best of Braun, but it wasn't really working. Eventually, everything started going their way, and at one point, they were even going to win. But the rules were whoever got the pin would be the Universal Champion. So when Morrison was about to get the pin, Miz took him out, and then he got hit with a chokeslam, power slam to Morrison, Braun retained. Match gets an up. One, before the match, the video, which is hilarious. Two, it was the best way to do this. I was hoping that they just didn't just get destroyed. I thought Braun was just gonna come here and rampage through both of them. That didn't happen. In fact, heel tactics came through almost. And the way that, they did it was, I guess they're going to bring up Miz Morrison. This is, I guess, the beginning of it. Because Morrison would have been Universal Champion right now. So it's a good way for, not to completely bury them. But, at least Braun got another title victory under his belt since winning the championship, besides Bray Wyatt, which has been missing from TV. And I want to know what's next for him. This really wasn't that big of a feud. This was more of a goofy feud with two jokesters because they were just joking around this whole time. And so hopefully now he can get back on the serious track. Hopefully be a monster again. Please? Braun can be a monster again. He doesn't have to be joking around anymore. Surprisingly, Otis did make a cameo appearance beforehand, teasing the cashing before the match even started, talking to Miz and Morrison if they won. But I guess he wasn't none of Braun. I guess since Braun is the champ, he don't want none of Braun. But the match itself is gonna get it up for the reasons I already stated. Drew versus Bobby Lashley was next, and when this match started, I was like, hold up, hold up, hold up. Are they saving really the Street Profits versus the Viking Raiders for the tag titles after a world title match. Yes, they did do that. They did do that in plan anyway. But anyway, the match of Drew versus Bobby exceeded my expectations, to be quite honest. I wasn't expecting much out of this match, even though I do like both Drew and Bobby. I had this feeling that the match was not gonna deliver, and I was wrong. It was a really good match. I really did enjoy it. Bobby, before the match even started, put the full Nelson on Drew McIntyre, which for a minute I went like, hold up, is Bobby gonna win the title here? Which would have sucked because I like Drew. I wanted Drew to be more champion for longer, but it would have been cool because Bobby is completely, underutilized. That didn't happen. Drew McIntyre did win the match, but it was not because he technically would have done it himself. Bobby was booked strong in this match, and even in the ending, it was done in a way to keep him strong. They were having this back and forth, a really good match, to be quite honest with you, until Lana came out. This was an ending that I saw from 100 miles away. Lana came out. She got on the apron, got knocked down. That distracted Bobby. He got hit with a Claymore kick. It's an ending I saw coming 100 miles away. I expected it. I even told my friend Jordan that that was going to happen. That's exactly what happened. But with that ending, though, you keep Bobby protected, strong. Maybe you do a rematch at Extreme Rules. Maybe Bobby Lashley's already done. Either way, Drew gets another win on his belt. He's defeated the Big Show, Seth Rollins, and now Bobby Lashley as world champion. Let his run continue. And Bobby, whether he fights for the title again or goes elsewhere, is going to be good. The match is going to get it up. The match was really good, really solid. A good match between two good wrestlers. And like I said, it protects Bobby. So Bobby didn't really just lose all like that. One could argue he was going to win the match. But, because of Lana, he didn't. What direction they go with him, who knows? A rematch could be well. I'll be okay if Bobby is the one that eventually dethrones Drew. So we'll see. Matches up is going to get an up. It was a really, really good match. The Street Profits versus the Viking Raiders was supposed to be for the Raw Tag Team Championships, but we were confused as to what was happening. They started a fight, and it was cinematic. And watching this, the only thing I could ask myself and say to myself was, what the fuck? If the Boneyard match between Undertaker versus AJ Styles critics consider a masterpiece, if that's considered a cinematic masterpiece, this has to be considered a cinematic failure. First of all, this wasn't even the tag title match. This was just a brawl that was happening outside. They were just fighting each other outside, and it was just fucking stupid. Oh my god, this is terrible, guys. This is terrible. This is a joke of a tag division. The SmackDown titles were nowhere to be seen. The women's titles were defended in a decent startup match. And the Raw division is a joke. No wonder the Revival wanted out of here. It started off as fun, this whole rivalry, the whole basketball stuff, and then the axe throwing, but then it just got stupider and stupider, and then we hit the lowest point possible. After they were done brawling, Akira Tozawa, for some reason, showed up, called a bunch of ninjas, and then the four wrestlers teamed up to make the Viking Profits. So I was literally watching the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles going up against the Foot Clan. They beat the Foot Clan, and then Akira Tozawa summoned the Shredder, a bigger ninja who just showed up and ran off. Before this, though, the Shredder came out, the Turtles had defeated the Foot Clan and literally did the Cowabunga gesture of the Turtles. I was like, what is going on here? This is fucking stupid. They really did that. Literally. I couldn't believe it. They were the Turtles versus the Foot Clan. And then after they ran away from Mr. Big Ninja, they started to brawl again on top of a truck. Essentially, they all landed in the trash can, and then there was a crocodile or some type of sea creature, or maybe it was a Star Wars monster, but it was probably a crocodile in the trash can, and they ran off. And their match never even happened, thank God. I wouldn't be able to have handled their match after this disaster. This was just disgusting. This is why wrestling is not taken seriously. If a friend of mine who doesn't watch wrestling was next to me, how would I explain this? How would I explain this to anybody who doesn't watch wrestling? If you're not a constant viewer, tell me, how do you explain this to somebody who's a non-watcher of wrestling? This is the type of stuff that gets wrestling a bad reputation. This gets the epic middle finger for a fuck you moment. This whole thing was terrible. I want this to be done. Can we go back to actual wrestling? Can the Viking Raiders already dethrone the Street Profits and move on? Please? I beg of you. No more. We don't want no more. We want tag team wrestling. That's what we got with the women's match. Why can't we get it for the women's division, tag division, and not the men's? First of all, the SmackDown division, men's tag division, was not even represented here. And the Raw division is a joke. If I were a wrestler, I would beg them not to put me in a team. Terrible. Next up was a match that was billed as the greatest wrestling match ever. And that's a big thing to say for a match that hasn't happened. Normally matches happen and then they're like, oh yo, this match was amazing. This is the greatest wrestling match ever. But before this match even happened, they were comparing it to some of the greats. And to be quite honest with you, me personally, it's like, this is gonna not deliver. Not because it's not, they can't put a good match, because I know they can. It's just, they're building this so much as the greatest wrestling match ever, that it's gonna fall under that pressure and fall short. I assumed. With that alone, I tell you that this match was beyond anything I've seen in a long time. They used some camera shots that I've never seen them use before, or rarely for special occasions. They use like fake audience sounds. Clearly, it worked at the right moments for the right occasions. The match was super long. Yes, just like the last man standing match was in WrestleMania. But while that match suffered from its length, this match thrived from it. They put a fantastic match that literally lived up to that name. Is it literally the greatest wrestling match ever? I can't tell you that, because that's based on opinions. Your opinion is different from my opinion, is different to that guy's opinion. But I can definitely tell you that this match was a great, fantastic match. This was also somewhat of a finisher match, but not like the Brock Lesnar matches and Goldberg matches where they do their finishers over and over and over and over again, which pisses me the hell off. No, this one was a finisher match in the sense that we saw spears and RKOs, yes. But besides that, we saw the kill switch, Christian's finisher, the Three Amigos, the Angle Slam, the Rock Bottom, the Ankle Lock. We saw finishers from other wrestlers. It was just incredible how they did it. It was fantastic. It really was a very good wrestling match. It was a match that could have buckled under that pressure, but thrived because of that. Yes, they called it the greatest wrestling match ever, and in many ways, it was. It was a really good wrestling match. It's, like I said, it's the best ever, and that's up to you to decide. But as this pay-per-view is concerned, and the tagline was concerned, it delivered. It delivered. It was a good match. Randy Orton won, which surprised me. But there were reports that Edge actually got injured during this match, which might be out for quite a few months, which led me to believe that that's why Orton won. I think had Edge not been injured, I think Edge would have won, and he would have continued to ride his momentum into possibly a world title down the line, because I'm going to assume at some point Edge will win the world title. If other part-timers can be champion, why can't Edge? So, if Brock can be champion and wrestle 5 times a year, why can't Edge? So, a match that was just fantastic. It was a good wrestling match. Literally, it was crazy how they did this. They had a last man standing at WrestleMania, and then they have a legit wrestling match. It was the backwards of all situations. It normally goes regular match, no DQ, last man standing, Hell in a Cell, whatever the stipulation. They did it backwards, and believe it or not, while it sounds ridiculous, it worked. And while the Street Profits are the type of stuff that makes me ashamed to be a wrestling fan when they do shit like that, this is the stuff that I'm proud to be a wrestling fan, and I could tell my friend, hey, watch this match. This is a good match. Where I can't do that with the Street Profits, and then my friend sees that I'm embarrassed to be a wrestling match. I forgot to mention that in that match, Ivar used the Force to get a piece of turkey. Where here, we have a legit badass wrestling match where there was also even a little bit of blood. Orton was even busted open at one point. When's the last time we saw blood? Whether that was fixed or planned, who knows? Doesn't matter. It was well executed, well done. This was a fantastic match. It was really long, but it never suffered because of it like the last man standing match did, where that match suffered for being too long. This one actually benefited from the time. And I can easily recommend this to anybody. And in my book, the match delivered on that tagline, because it was a fantastic, great wrestling match that you should watch. So it doesn't just get thumbs up. It gets the heavy metal horns for awesome. It was a fantastic main event. Go watch it. If you only want to see one match in this pay-per-view, this would be that one match. That would be that one match. Go watch it. Check it out. It lived up to the hype. I personally didn't think would happen. Heavy metal horns for awesome. Good job, guys. And that was Backlash. A decent pay-per-view. It had great moments like the Edge Randy match. Bobby Drew was a lot better than I expected. And Sheamus and Jeff was another really, really good fight. But the other stuff, shenanigans, Asuka match, the opening match was decent, but it was really nothing to write home about. It was sloppy. And don't even get me started on Street Profits. If I had to give a final verdict for this pay-per-view, well, it was okay. As a pay-per-view itself, it's okay. It's not a thumbs up or a down, but it's in the middle. It's a mediocre pay-per-view overall, despite the amazing main event and the Drew Bobby match and Jeff Sheamus match being really great. The rest of the card really wasn't that fantastic, and it was just whatever. Overall, it was a decent pay-per-view in the middle. Not good or bad, in the middle. But that was my review of Backlash. What did you think about my review? What did you think about the show? Let me know in the comments below. Did you agree with me? Disagree with me? And did you think Edge vs. Orton was the greatest wrestling match ever? I don't know if I would use the term ever, because there's a lot of great wrestling matches, but it was definitely a match that lived up to the hype and good for the tagline here. Let me know in the comments. This has been Brian Redgrave. Redgrave, out.